Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here, and this is, I think, episode 5 episode 5 of our hardcover junk journal, starting from scratch, putting the book taking the book apart, putting the book back together, making pages. And so I hope your books are coming along good. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you on that. The book, we left off where we were putting the pages together to make our signature pages, which is a double fold spread that will be folded up and put together with a total of 15 pages, which makes 30 individual pages and 60 sides. So I've got my books all done, and I have 3 books that I'm doing the same as most of you are, where I've dissected the entire book. And then I had 2 books that I cut out pages. One I cut kept one page cut out for, so every 5 pages. And the other book, I kept half the book and I cut the first half out. So those books I've decided to save more towards the end to show you a little. I have to show you a little bit more. These are a little bit different. So if you have done that method, if you have no problem hinging pages to go back in your book, if you're doing every 5th page, every 5th page you're keeping, then you can carry on to do that, and we will right away go into ephemera. Because my 2 books are going to be totally different, only because there were some struggles with the different styles of books that I'm doing. And so I will save those to the end and explain everything not in the end, when I have all the pages done. And I will do a flip through basically at that point, and then I will do a flip through when I'm completely finished with all the ephemera. So having said that, I have one book that I'm going to be working on today with you. And I have made my 15 signatures. They're all in here, and I will go through them all with you in a second. And then, of course, there was lots left over. Now, some of you are going to have a lot of nice pictures left over that you can cut up for ephemera. Some of them you might save for another journal. Some of them might be just the text pages, or there's not much of interest on there. These are still all good pages, and we will go through all of that step by step. I was fortunate that this book had a lot of nice pages that I could work with in the book. And so I still have a few extra pages that have nice pictures on them. The other side, of course, is text. I may still cut some of those pictures out, but when I first sorted them, I did keep them with the idea that I might use this as a whole page. So now I can make the choice of cutting out the picture for ephemera when we get to that point. But I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm just going to show you that some of these pictures are still in full-size color. I wouldn't have necessarily put this one in my book. It's a cat and an embroidery. I picked the nicest 14 pages that I wanted to use in here. And then the rest were just extra over and above. So I kept them still in a pile because I may use them for another journal. I'm not sure at this point. I don't feel like I need it for ephemera right now. But like I said, everybody's books are different. So these pages here I kept aside are what I call base ephemera. And that's because they're mostly text, or they're pictures I would never use or I don't want to use for whatever reason. And so I'm going to use it as bases for making my ephemera. This was another one of those pattern pages. I had done the one where I showed you I just covered the writing with washi tape, which you'll see in this book. But on the other side of this one was just a children's christening gown, and it's such a plain page that I'm most likely either going to use it as a journal card or as a folded journal page this way for something else coming up. So it's not something that I wanted to keep as a nice decorative page in the book. Now here I've got some elements that I can use, like this isn't the worst thing in the world to start out with as a base. And then same with this, you know, these are things that I would use as a base and work on from there. Just to give you some ideas, I might take a page like this and glue a napkin down over top of it as an overlay and then fold it up into an envelope. But I can make those choices when we're working on the ephemera together. And even right down to the end when the book is done, the ephemera is done, and everything I possibly could use for the book is completed, I still will not get rid of these pages. I will still work with them and use them and get them ready for ephemera for other books or for other projects until I've used it all. So that was what I called my base ephemera, and that just means, you know, it's on the short list that it's not going to be used as the decorative pages, and it's not going to be used as finishing ephemera. So finishing ephemera, I'm going to put those aside, is where I picked out pictures that I said, oh yes, I will use this to make a journal card or whatever. Now, if you remember, in this book in particular, we had the 2 end pages, which this is one of them, that I cut out of the book. And I looked at it, it's blank on the other side, but it's just a perfect size and weight to make a variety of, I could make journal cards, folded tags. So this became part of my ephemera. Again, this one was part of the ephemera because I liked the picture. I just thought there were so many possibilities with that. This I thought I could fussy cut out. While this is such a beautiful picture to look at, on the other side again was some of this. So I was kind of undecided on this one as well. A nice picture I can cut out, something that I'm not going to use in the book. A really nice picture I can cut out, and nothing on the back. So these are the pieces that I kept aside that I said, yeah, I could use it as ephemera. This I could use as a background base to put something on, and it's still decorative. If I cut it out into a, you know, square or rectangular, it's still decorative, but I can also use it in the journal. This is actually a very nice long strip that kind of says belly band, or I could fold this in half and make a long tag that is a double tag. So that's a possibility as well. I really like this picture. I don't know if you can see it or not in there. I'm trying to get it where there's no sheen. So yeah. So that's a possibility. But these are just things that I said could be ephemera. And when we get to that day when we're doing ephemera, you will see how I use all of these pieces. And somewhere in this pile is another end page at the other end probably. But I have 2 of these. So I'm going to put all of this extra paper, like you can see how much of this book we haven't even used yet. I'm just going to put it all aside because we don't need it right now. And we're going to go into looking at the book cover and the pages that I've made. So there is the book cover, the way I left it after I dissected it. There is a little bit of roughness here that I'm going to cut out, and I'll show you how to do that afterwards. But I'm going to put that aside for now and just go over the pages with you. So these are my 15, when they're opened up, 15 full-size book pages. And so when they get folded in half, they become 2 pages in the book, which means we end up with 30 pages. And then you have to consider that there's 2 sides to every page. So that gives us 60 sheets of possibility. So I'm just going to go through each one. This is the one I chose for the outside cover of the signature. And it was just one of my favorite pictures in the book. She's got her embroidery stuff there, but she's stopped to read a book. So I'm excited to have this image and this page. There is a line up at the top here. I'm hoping you can see that. I wonder if I could get rid of that sheen somehow. that make it any better? No, that makes it worse. Sorry, I'm just kind of moving you around here. I don't know where I could cut off that shadow, but maybe if I just bring the camera just a little bit over. I don't think that helps at all. I'm sorry about the glare, but there's nothing I can really do about it. So I think I'll just bring it right back and do this again. Sorry. Okay. So I'm sorry, we'll have to live with the sheen in here, that the glare that shows up. And at the top here, I have this word that says introduction. A piece of washi tape or any kind of trim can go on there to cover that up. So I attached this page to some brown paper bag, and I used some music sheet to attach it. And the brown paper bag, I left it a little longer so that I can fold over and have this tuck spot or a flippy flap or something that I can use with it. So the next page was some scrapbook paper that I used, and that was attached to, again, another page. Now in this case I used just a blank page, like just a text page. And when I stitched this one in, I could have glued it the same way, but I stitched this one in on the fold. And this allowed me to keep that extra piece of the scrapbook paper, because the scrapbook paper, there's the 12 by 12, the whole thing. So when you fold it over, that left me about 3.5 inches, I think, almost 4 inches. Let's just see. Yeah, 3.75 inches. So I can either leave this just loose like that, or I can glue this page top and bottom to make another tuck spot. And again, undecided until I'm actually working in the book. So this next page, again, now if you've noticed, the first page I had the image on the one side and the brown paper there. Then I went with the book page here and the scrapbook paper. I'm alternating them back and forth so that I don't have all the pretty pictures on one side, or the book on one side, and all of the blank pages on the other side. So that was one of the things I hope I was able to explain to you well enough in the last videos. So this is the third page. It was a text page. And again, I opened it up and I attached it to a piece of ledger, or not ledger, this is certificate paper. And because I went this way, it was way too long for the book, so I just folded it over to make a little flap here to, sorry, my ruler's in the way now, to make a little flap that I can, again, decide what I want to do with it. So that's it's in the next page. Then I added in the book jacket, and that took a little bit of maneuvering to fold the pages over to get them to lay flat. Actually, it looks like I'm a little bit glued there. Okay. To get them to lay flat. They are glossy. I may cut this out. I'm not sure. It has a plastic coating, so it is very thick. But again, I'm going to wait until the book is put together. But I did like how the cover looks in here. And it is glossy, but it is such a pretty picture that I thought I would keep it in the book. And it is Victorian embroidery, which we're seeing right there. So that, of course, was attached to the back side of it, which has a pretty picture, but it has the possibility of covering that up with a pocket of sorts. So that was the jacket. The next one was another book page, pretty picture. I matched it up with ledger sheet. And this, the ledger was a little bit short, so I added the music on the top. Somebody said I was making Frankenpaper. Sort of. So I added this little piece on top, and for me, it just adds interest to the book. Sometimes when you have randomness, it totally throws people. But it's meant to give inspiration so that when you turn the page, you don't know what you're going to see next. And that just adds more interest. And I've often done that with books where, the whole theme of the book is done in say browns and yellows and greens, very earthy colors. And then all of a sudden you'll flip the page and I will have a bright blue page in there just to throw you off and make you go, oh, what's on the next page? And then make you ponder as to why did she put a blue page in the book? And the very fact that you're asking why I put a blue page in the book means it worked. So don't be afraid to be totally random, totally change colors, totally change themes. That's the fun about making these books, is we can be as eclectic as we want to be and create more interest in the journal. And sometimes we tend to work in colors that we like. And sometimes you have to be reminded that not everybody likes the same colors that you do. And it's always good to challenge yourself and work with another color. So in this case, it's not about color. It's about being random and building up this page with some music sheet, and then using something totally different to adhere the two together. So that just made it a fun, interesting page. And it's plain on the back, so it's ready to enhance and embellish. So that was the book page. Then I reversed again. This one was the scroll page. It is a shorter page. I didn't make it longer. It's attached to the book page. And that's the one where I had added the washi tape to cover the lines. Once the book is all put together, I will do little patches of stuff to cover up any words I don't want or anything I don't want on here. And but that'll be when I put the book together. It wasn't the greatest page either, but I did like this part of the book page, and it went really nice with the ledger and with the brown tones here that I am using. So I figured that's a good match, putting those two together. So this one, like I said, it was only about it's about an inch shy of the bottom, but that's okay. We don't have to have all of our pages full size. And again, I left it that way, looking at it that I might put some lace on the bottom or some type of trim or some type of dangle. So there's still lots of options. Going back again, so that was paper. Now I'm back at book page. This is the book page that was on the cover of the book. When I folded the paper over, because this is matched up with the graph paper, when I folded it over, I just added this piece of washi tape. I don't have a lot of luck with washi tape, but I have to say that it has been sticking really well to these paper pages. I wouldn't try to put it on the glossy pages because then you definitely would have to glue it down. But so far it's holding up really nicely, and we'll see how it maintains. It is only decorative because I have glued the paper to the actual graph paper with the fold. So it's only decorative over top of the page anyway. But it is a nice match, and it just finishes the page a little bit better. Opening that up, the next page was just an end page from another book. I liked it because it had this library pocket, and I would have either had to destroy the page or cut it down in order to make it work in another book. So I figured might as well use it in here. And this one is matched up with the book page there. But this time I flipped the nice picture on the inside. So again, it's that element of surprise when you're not expecting it. Here's the page, and then you turn it over and there's something very colorful on the inside. So that leaves me a blank page here to work with, lots of opportunity. I love this. It looks like tansy out of the, that grows wild. I mean, it looks like tansy. It may not be, but it does. I love that image, and I love the embroidery here. Not fussy about seeing the cupboard down here on the bottom. If you can see it, there we go. And so what I will probably do is put some type of tuck spot on the bottom just to cover that up, or a folding notebook or something. But then again, it gives more interest on the page, opening it up this way and seeing the image, and then having something that is functional on the same page. This one is the book page, just plain text, but this is where I use the Like this one has the contents. It doesn't have the copyright because that is one of my folded pages that's going to go inside the book. So I may just throw a napkin over top of this. I've got lots of writing material here and journaling space here that I can add a few elements on. So I'm not concerned. And same with this. I can cover this up. I've got this little piece of the exercise book, Scribbler, that I use to match up on this side. And let's take this one out. So it's glued to the rest of that exercise book, and this was so large I made a huge flip out. So this will give lots of writing material, and I have these holes and the staple marks and the fold there. I may put something down the center to separate these two journaling spots, but that's easy enough to fix. And then when it folds over, I have to fix the other side as well. You can see the holes there. So I will do something decorative there as well. Maybe just going just slightly past the holes so I have these little line spots here. I think that would be a fun place to write, as well as having a nice big spot here. That is all stuff I will do with you as I'm going through the book. The next page is the children's exercise book, and this is where I put 2 pages together. I don't know if you remember. Yeah, so I put 2 pages together, and then I glued them down, decorated with a little bit of washi tape just to add some interest. And then I also folded the pages here just a little bit over so it gave a little more strength to this page. I think I'll probably use this one and put some tabs on here so that you're not really, it's a very delicate paper, so that you're not really using it to turn the page so much as you would use the tab. And probably putting it more in the center so that it gives you that idea to turn it from the center and not put any more pressure on this very light page. It's fun to work with light, like different papers, but you always have to be thinking about how the page is going to be used, how much stress it's going to be under. And so folding this edge over an inch and then gluing it down, it just gives it added strength right here where people are going to be handling the page the most. That's matched up with a book page. This is the wrong side of the book page. But here is a pretty picture. So all I have to do is cover something up in there. It has a nice decorative edge, you know, with the trim that was on the book picture, and it's text on the other side. So lots of possibilities to cover that up. This one, I of course love the flower, and it's just a matter of playing. It's another book page, has some interesting elements on this side. And when you open it up, it's matched up to that sunflower paper, which has, it's short again on the page. So what I've done here, I wanted to make sure I kept the sunflower, so it is folded right where the sunflower ends. So this makes a short page on the other side. Now, if you were looking at it from this point of view, it still covers whatever's underneath it. It allows you to see the other page. There is the flip out. So it's a fun page in itself that has lots of opportunities. It's blank on this side. So, sorry, lost my train of thought there. It's just a nice fun page to work with. And we'll see what I do with it when the book is all put together. The next page was another one that was short. I think this was the very first one I did with you guys. Blue parchment paper, and then I attached some coffee paper. Yeah, it is the first one I did. And when I attached it, I told you I had a hole in here that I'm going to have to repair. Trying to make sure I'm in frame here. I think I'll just move this down just slightly. There, that might help. And then you'll miss out stuff on the top. I know. So it has a hole in here. I will have to repair it. Something I should have considered before I used it. It's very brittle. I may have to just tear it off altogether and come up with another flip. That one got attached to this book page, and again, pictures on the inside. But this one I think had, oh no, not that one. There is one that has a double where there's a beautiful picture on both sides, which was fun. This one has a nice element on the page, but lots of writing opportunity and places for spot elements. And when I say spot elements can be things like little pictures that you just glue down randomly. It could be a cluster you glue down. It could be a little tuck spot. It could end up where a pocket goes. I just know that I'm going to put something there, so I call it a page element, something on the page. And when I do these, I tend to want to have something on every page, even a blank page. A blank page like this, well, I've already added the faux washi tape here and changed colors. So that's already an element in itself on the page. But it's not to say that I won't glue another piece of decorative paper down here, or add a tab, or ink stamp on here, or doodle. You know, there's all kinds of things that I can do on this page. So every page will have some type of element on it. Next one here is just a plain text paper page with this nice element on the inside. Oh, wait, I went one page too far. This element on the inside. I like the hearts here too. I used a lot of these text pages in here because it's a book on embroidery. I thought I would add in some fabric embroidered pieces and then play on that a little bit. So there are some possibilities with that, and being able to cover these things up with some embroidery just seemed like the right thing for me to do. Now that was attached to a ledger page. The ledger page was also short. I went the other direction, short, and then this one just flips out to create some more interest and possible tuck and pocket. And then nice, lots of writing space on the back side of it. Next one is a text page. On the inside was that element. Again, possibilities to cover it up. It is matched up with a piece of scrapbook paper that flips out and has a full blank side that it's light enough color, neutral enough that I can write on it and still use the inside. Now, some of you would be wanting to ink stain or coffee dye the white pages. I don't worry about them either way, because sometimes by the time I'm done, you really don't notice that they're white. And, you know, I will add lines on here or something to inspire you and encourage you to write in there. And then I can also put some framed pieces in here to encourage you to put a picture on here. You always have to be, again, thinking about who is going to be the recipient of this book. Is it going to be your book? Then, you know, of course, you would decorate it and ink stain it or coffee stain it however you like. But for somebody who is getting this journal, you want to encourage them to use it. So there are so many different ways to do that, by adding a frame where they can put in a picture, or drawing lines where they know that's a spot for them to write on. Lots of those things. This last page is my center page, and it is the brown paper bag. It conveniently had this little notch out of here, which I loved, that just says tuck spot. So I will probably glue the ends down and tuck something in here. I could also, let's see here. I don't want to go too much into this, but I don't want to forget this when I'm talking about it. Okay, here we go. I've got something right here. I could also glue another page down that is longer, that glues on that side and that side, which makes this a double tuck that you can use to make two pockets. So it would be a longer piece. I just don't have one handy to show you, but that would go all the way to the bottom. So there are opportunities of adding more in as well in that area. Doesn't make any sense as another method. Okay, so my brown paper bag opens up to a text page and a blank page. Endless opportunities there. And when you fold it over, it has a nice decorative page. So that is my 15 pages. And yes, I did pre-arrange them before I met you or came back to show you this. And so this is what my book looks like now. And how are we doing for time here? I think we're still doing okay. So this is what my book looks like now. I'm now ready to stitch it in. So we're going to go back to the hardcover and prepare the hardcover first. So this is my hardcover. This is where I ripped out the signature. Let's make sure I have it facing up the right way. I don't. Okay. I knew this little hole was, or little patchy thing here was at the bottom. So this is my book cover where I tore it out. You watched me take a knife and cut it out, and then I had to cut out the pages a little bit. So there is conveniently a nice piece of cardboard inside the book cover, the red cover, that stabilizes the signature or the book itself. And so from cutting out these pages, I've got a little bit of roughness there, and I can either take my X-Acto blade. Now I am working on my rubber mat. So because there's a bit of an edge here, I can take my X-Acto blade and just trim that away. Just following the line of the book. And it's still a little bit showing there. I don't know if you can see, but I'm just going to trim it away. And that just gives it a smooth, not ratty edge. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Except this time, just in case you don't want to use your X-Acto blade, or you don't have one handy, I'm just going to take my scissors and trim that away. So whatever works for you. It does get a little awkward as you go along the side of the book, but you can approach it from the other side too. A little bit of jagginess there still. I think I'll go from this direction now. And that's it for the rough edges. So as long as your book is still together in one piece and still the spine is still in good shape like this with that little piece inside, your book is pretty much ready to go. So I'm going to put that aside now, and we're going to talk about a hidden spine. Now, normally when, I should say, keep this here for a second. Normally when you stitch your journal into your hardcover or into your cover, you would stitch right through all of this and have your stitches coming out on the other side. But I like to do a blind stitch or signature in here so that you cannot see the stitching at all when we're done. You just see the writing from the words if you don't cover your book. And if you do cover your book, you're going to cover it with fabric or paper. Then it really doesn't matter. But I just like to have a hidden spine where you don't see those stitches. So in order to do that, I cut a piece of cardboard. So I sort of need everything all at once every time I'm doing this. I cut a piece of cardboard that I know is going to fit nicely inside the spine. And it doesn't have to be perfect length. It can be a little bit shy on the top and the bottom. It really doesn't matter. You are not going to see this at all, but you do want to make sure it fits inside. So I, again, cannot control the size of your book. So you may have to cut it and cut it again. This is just a very, it's a lightweight chipboard. I have sheets of it here in stock all the time. This is what you find at the back of notepads or long, you know, the long, they call it legal, I can't remember. It's a lined tablet. Tablet? That sounds right. So it's a lined tablet. Usually you find this weight of cardboard at the back of those books. If you don't have that, a cereal box would work. Maybe you have an empty box from plastic wrap or tin foil. That's a nice long strip of cardboard that you can use to cut up as well. Just something that's going to fit reasonably in your book and reasonably within that space. Okay, so it's got to be sort of snug, but not overly snug. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect in length, just as long as it's long enough for your book. Oh, look at that. Mine isn't even long enough for my book. Okay, I think I grabbed the wrong one. I will go back and get another one. Just one moment, please. Sorry about that. I'm doing 2 red books, and I put the short one or the long one in the other book, and then this is the one it should be. So I just had to go find it and put the right one in the right book. So you just want your cardboard piece to be the same length as your book, as much as possible. If you're good at finagling with a shorter piece, that's fine too, but I like to work with the right size. Again, it's going to be shorter than my book by a little tiny bit, but not enough to make a difference inside the book. It's just this part here that you want to make sure is the right size. So in putting the spine together, now I can get this out of my way. You need a piece of fabric that is going to cover your cardboard piece that will get glued down into the book. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I'm just prepared in what I'm going to be doing with my books. So I have gone ahead and chosen fabric that is a reasonable match. It just has to be a little bit larger than your spine piece itself. So as you can see, this is way too large. I'm going to trim it down probably to about 1 inch on either side. So about there, I'm going to cut it and just tear this down. Now, these pieces, you know, are not garbage, though they're going in my scrap box for now. And if you are looking for a piece of fabric, maybe you don't have fabric. If you're doing these journals, I'm sure you've got fabric. But if you don't, an old tea towel torn down to size will work. A piece of a shirt, maybe you've got a shirt that your husband doesn't wear anymore. You can cut off a sleeve and cut that down by cutting and tearing it to fit. An old a blouse of yours that's like a lightweight fabric. Anything that's I like to use natural fabric as opposed to anything silky. If you have a cotton scarf, you can cut that down. It's entirely up to you. For the most part, I think most of you do have some type of fabrics in your stash. But if not, there's lots of opportunities. And coming up later on this year, I will be doing videos on dissecting fabric, garments, and reusing and repurposing for that reason. That we're going to use it for making books and all kinds of goodies. So one way or another, you are going to build a fabric stash. If you have to go out and buy something this time around, well, then I would look for a small piece of cotton, nothing too fancy. It's just going on the inside of your book to cover your spine ugliness and to cover or to adhere it to the book itself. So I've chosen a piece that is roughly about 1 inch on either side and 1 inch top and bottom, knowing that, they will get trimmed down if I need to. But that is a good safe measurement for your spine. So if you want to gather that for part 2, that's great. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your cardboard, and because we're working with larger books, like this is almost 12 inches. Can you see that? It's almost 12 inches. So I mark at 3, 6, and 9 inches. And I do that with the book as well. 3, 6, and 9. If you were measuring your book or working in a book that's your folded pages that are 8.5 by 11, something like this, folded in half, then I work with 2, 4, 6. 3, 6, and 9 for a large book. 2, 4, 6 for a small book. And you just adjust accordingly for, everybody's a little bit different how they do their spines. Now, because this isn't exactly 12 inches, and I want to make sure that it matches up with my book as well, you know, as much as possible when I'm doing my measuring, I start from the bottom of the book. And the very first thing I do on this spine cardboard is I write B. That's the bottom of your spine, and it's going to match up with the bottom of your book. And I write T up here for top to match the top of your book. Not that you really need T when you've got B, but sometimes when you're in a hurry and you're not looking and you know this is the top, that it should be matching to the top. And writing B and T on your spine, one day you will thank me for this. I'm just saying, one day you will say, oh, I know it's the bottom. And then you'll realize, no, she's right. Put B and T on your spine first thing. Even though right now it can be this way or that way, you've already spelled it out. That's where B and T, top and bottom is. So putting the book aside again. So we've established top and bottom by putting the B and the T. And now we're going to measure 3, 6, 9. All right, so 3 inches, I'm just going to put a dot sort of in the middle of this book with my pencil at 3 inches. At 6 inches, I'm going to put a dot sort of in the middle. And at 9 inches, I'm going to put a dot sort of in the middle. Okay, now, if the book is 11 and 5/8 in this case, of course the bottom is not going to be the same distance as the top. But if you measure like that from the bottom of your spine and to the top of your spine, and then you measure your book the same way, your holes are going to come out the same match. Don't really have that in the middle, but I'm going to put that better in the middle. So now that you've done that on your spine, we're going to do the same thing on the center page of your book, the very center of your book, which is this page here. You don't have to do it on all. We're just going to do it on the center page. So I'm just putting the other ones aside for now because it's less bulk to work with. And I'm going to line up my paper, or you can with the ruler, or you can also use your spine itself because you've made the measurements. So you can do it that way as well, because you know this is the bottom. So just make sure you're always working with the same side that you just did your spine. And using the ruler, I'm going to mark out 3, 6, and 9 again, right in the fold of the book. I'm going to just put a little pencil dot in there. You will never see these. You will never see these when your book is put together. Maybe the inside one, if you really are worried about it, you can erase it. 3, 6, and 9. So I have 3 dots there. And again, I don't have to write the word bottom in here because I know that the book is showing me which is the bottom and the top, the page itself. But you can do that. You could put a little B over here and a little T over here, and then erase them once the book is put together. It's entirely up to you. But like I said, I've sewn in enough signatures upside down to remind myself to put the B and the T. And the first time you do it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So once you've got your marks in here, you know this is how you're going to stitch your book together. But I want you to take each of your pages one last time and do a really good hard bone fold on that spine. And you're going to do that for all of your pages to make sure it's nice and tight. All of your pages right through. And we're going to come back because this video is getting long. So this is the end of part 1. And we're going to come back and stitch this book together and get the whole spine right into the book. Okay, I'll be right back. See you in part 6.